This month's movie recap, January 2026, in just under 3 minutes. At the very start of the month, Marty Supreme, 10 out of 10, one of the best films I've seen in a long, long time. The more I think about it, the more I love it. Marty Supreme is so damn good, Timothée Chalamet might just win that Oscar. Then shortly after that, Sentimental Value, another movie that's likely to pick up when it comes to awards season and the big golden statues. A movie that tackled a father-daughter dynamic in a very emotional and poignant way. Then it was Saipan, the famous, or maybe infamous, Irish scandal of the last 20 years, Roy Keane, Mick McCarthy. A movie that, on paper, kind of should have been a lot more interesting than it was, and probably would have been better suited to be in a documentary, but it did have some shining moments. And talking about movies that will likely pick up when it comes to Academy Awards season, Hamlet is an absolute guarantee. Jessie Buckley is absolutely wonderful here. Paul Mescal is also very, very good. And overall, it's a movie that tackles grief and loss, but also is quite a life-affirming and quite emotional movie. Hamlet ticked a lot of boxes for me and was really damn good. Then it was Song Sung Blue, a movie that for the first half I thought was a bit gimmicky and really didn't have too much substance to it. But when it kicked into that second act, the emotions kind of kicked in, and when it came to, the kind of payoff in the final act, Song Sung Blue actually won me round, and I quite enjoyed this movie. And then one of the biggest releases of January 2026, 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Last year, the first part was one of my favourite films of 2025, and I'm happy to say that for 2026, it's a contender to be one of my favourite films of this year, because 28 years later, The Bone Temple was a really rewarding next part in the story. Then it was The Rip. The first half, a really good cop drama. The second half, completely falls off a cliff. The first half was really, really fun and rewarding and exciting and tension building with, cop dynamics. But the second half just fell off a cliff and really ruined what came before. And as we approach the end of January 2026, is this thing on? A really interesting movie that sells itself as a comedy and stand-up kind of insight, but rather is a really emotional and interesting tackling of a failing marriage. And the way it does that, Laura Dern is really good in here. Will Arnett is certainly brilliant in here, and Bradley Cooper in the directing seat. I'm looking forward to what he does next. This was a really surprisingly good one. But sadly, we're rounding off a really strong January 2026 with a stinker. Mercy. And by the time the credits rolled, it did feel like Mercy, because Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson in an AI dynamic that felt very much like a straight-to-streaming movie, and not a good one. Mercy really didn't hit the mark at all.